Beardall from Lake Oswego, Oregon, and I'm in practicing kinesiology for 13 years. And I've written, we've been at it for a long time. And as we've grown in kinesiology, we have different aspects that we tend to take on. At one time, I was doing a lot of work with feet, and we've got all the research done for all the muscles of the foot, which we haven't got out yet. But next, we've changed our structure. Our next volume is going to be the instruction manual. We've been trying to get that out for a couple of years. We finally decided to start teaching because for one, we find the section that we want to start with, and that is the living computer. And the body, thank you. Our primary discussion this morning is going to pivot off of beginning to understand the body as in a little different perspective. In anatomy, in school we've understood it to be a collection of systems of organs, tissues. We're going to add a new and exciting dimension to it. The body is actually a living, biological, it's the same as a computer, and it's capable of certain processes. And if we understand those processes and we understand its function as a computer, then all of a sudden many complexities which we've had difficulty understand begin to take on a whole different meaning. And I believe it's the meaning that we must have in order to make our next step in understanding the body above and beyond local muscle testing. Now, first of all, I'm going to give you, this morning, I'm going to give you a little overlay of where I'm at. And hopefully I can enthuse you to pursue that so that you may want to be there. If we conceive the body to be a computer, then we must conceive, or at least have an understanding, that the body has a method of communication. All of us here use kinesiology, and I think it would probably be apropos if we took a little time here and introduced each other so I'd get to know you better. And that working with the body is one of the most exciting things that we can do. And I love chiropractic, and I'm extremely enthused about this living body that is a creation of the divine. I have a deep respect for it, and my goal is to understand it and to understand its needs. If we conceptualize the body as a computer, all computers have language. And the method of approach that must be used following local computer work is the beginning of understanding computer coded information. And at this seminar, I'm not going to introduce any what we call mode work. Our work at this time is going to introduce you to muscle local computer information. So, and it is my feeling that we fulfill the work of Isaiah, in as much as Isaiah said, "I give unto you line upon line and precept upon precept." If you can conceptualize and function on the body as a local computer first, then you can take on different perspectives. And once you take on those different perspectives, then you must learn the language of the body. This language was going to lead us to understand all diseases. As we have gained our insight into body, we have gained the ability to make honest entries into multiple diversified disease patterns, and have been able to start solving them on a very logical basis, instead of by accident or occasionally. We begin to learn why we need to do what we need to do. Now, our goal this weekend is to teach you over 70 muscles, and so that you can go home with a perspective, the ability to go home and test every one of those muscles. Our goal is to teach you to view the body as a computer, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. Exactly what does that mean, a computer, and to then reduce the display of the computer to meaningful terms, so that it's not quite as complex as it was when you originally started. We all have the problem. We're going to talk about muscle group testing versus isolated muscle. Now, those of you who've taken my book and looked through my book, you'll find that, geez, this guy, he takes the quad and he makes 9 muscle tests out of it, and then the next thing he does, he turns around and talks about muscle groups. And it's important to realize that it is not wrong to test muscles as groups. George does it all the time. He doesn't like the straight arm test, which is a group muscle test. That's where you take your arm, put it in this position, and you may be therapy localized, and you have a patient therapy localized, and use a straight arm muscle test. But yet at the same time, George will go down and he'll do a hamstring test or a quad test in which he is testing groups of muscles. And that's okay. Now, George can have his own logic. That's fine with him, except what I want to talk is that if I believe that there's a time and a place for isolated muscle testing, and there's a time and a place for group muscle testing. Group muscle testing is like conducting a survey, and in the survey you want to evaluate the opinion of a group of people versus evaluating the opinion of one person. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is an electronic computer. I'm trying to give you a little understanding of what it means and some of its components. And as you understand those components, all of a sudden muscle testing is going to take on an exciting dimension of understanding in relationship to body function. Electronic computers are basically made up of 3 primary units. Input unit, which is responsible, this is basically usually a typewriter or some type of unit which accepts information and transfers it into a particular code. Sometimes your intelligent terminal is the input unit, sometimes it's an accessory unit. Thank you. Those of you who buy the volume 3, this is all explained. Muscles are what we call local computers. Besides having this as a general overall view of what happens in the body, there are 4 types of computers or levels of computer function in the body. 4 types. So there are 4 areas where this is capable of occurring at different stages of evaluation. I get a kick out of his logic because he says when to adjust and, more important, when not to adjust. Well, I'm going to teach you when to use Liam Pure and when not to use Liam Pure. Because each of those techniques that have provided contributions to healing people and allow them to heal have significant relationship to health, and if you know when to use them, then they become a blessing to you all the time, instead of the practitioner that everybody that walks in the door gets Liam Pure, and he has a certain degree of success and he has a certain degree of failure. He has that because he tries to make his technique work for everyone, and that's not the way the body's set up. The body is set up with a series of problems. If you adequately understand what it is trying to display to you, then you can adequately provide the solutions that it is looking for. Then we have to flex the trunk and pull down into 110 degrees. So I'm starting with 690. And you got it. 110 degrees, and then you rotate 23 degrees on the side that you want to challenge.
That puts his elbow where?
Puts his elbow approximately in between his legs.
Between the legs, right.
Okay, and that puts you in the position for that test. Now the position for the testee is ipsilateral contact here, And pressure is at the, read it off, ipsilateral knee with mid-clavicular contact, extend trunk through sagittal plane. Now the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, first 6 tests are exactly the same for the tester. That leg down, and the line of drive is right straight through a sagittal plane. It has a rotation, 23, right straight. Okay. Then it comes, just moves up to 90 degrees, and that moves him out of the permidalis into the rectus abdominis first section. Now we're ready to test that. It's exactly the same at that point. Okay. First section, okay, second section, rectus abdominis. Okay, tester remains the same. All you do is have him. Okay, let's move on to the first section, rectus abdominis.
First section.
Okay, this one here, the only alteration, everything is the same except now you move up to 90 degrees.
Yeah, I wondered, was going to be there.